Pub Review.
My name is Stuart. It's S-T-U-A-R-T, last name White, W-H-I-T-E. My position is producer on the multiplayer portion of Ghost Recon Future Soldier.
So it's been 5 years since we've had a home console release of a Ghost Recon title. Why is it taking so long to go back to Ghost Recon?
A couple of restarts. We looked at what we had and we felt like it wasn't really what the marketplace wanted as far as a Ghost Recon game, so we kind of said, alright, let's go back to the drawing board and make it exactly what the players want. So, it's all about giving the marketplace what they expect when they play a Ghost Recon game.
Sure. So we've had, since 2007, since Squad 2 came out, we've had Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and all the titles following that. We've had Battlefield, and then in the third-person sector, we've had sort of Army of Two, Alan Wake, Dead Space, Vanquish. What kind of leads have you taken from these other games? Have you been looking at them and seeing what they're bringing to the market?
Definitely. One of the things that Ghost Recon prides itself on is authenticity. But at the same time, it can lead to players feeling like the game is too complex, or there's a steep learning curve for them to get into the game. So we spent a lot of time looking at the competitors and what they've done to kind of eliminate that, and we've tried to pull that into Future Soldier. So, the interaction that you have with the squad, we want to make that less foreboding, a little bit easier to get into. Management of the squad is not a hassle. It's something that's either the player doesn't recognize or they enjoy interacting with. So it's really all about making the barrier to entry much smaller so that players of any type can join and enjoy the experience.
Sure. So you mentioned the Q&A just now about the Ghost Recon online system that you've got. So could you talk a bit about that, about expanding beyond the game?
As far as the Ghost Recon network?
Yeah.
Okay. I can speak about it as much as I can. I'm not the expert at it, so
sure.
I'll give you what I can. So it's Ghost Recon Network is to provide an experience beyond the console. So we've got a Facebook game, we've got an iPhone application, there's an ARG, there's a website that does stat tracking and sort of giving the player information about what's happening on the console in various different formats. So all of that is an attempt to make the experience beyond the console. So it's not just Ghost Recon is while you're playing the 360 or the PlayStation. It's at work you can check your stats. When you're at the movies, you can do the gunsmith with your iPhone and sort of customize a weapon. And when you get back to your console later that night, it'll be there for you. You can go and enjoy the ARG and kind of the mystery that's associated with that. So all these different sort of experiences are something we hope will make the brand live beyond just the console experience.
So you're trying to push people to use their phones in cinemas?
Before the movie. Not during the movie, I don't.
So have you looked at other stat systems that have come out like Elite and the subscription model? How have you stack up against the subscription model, and how do you feel about subscription?
How we stack up will be determined when we come out, what the players think. We feel like what we're bringing is going to be competitive. It's not going to be, there's not going to be no cost associated with it, so it'll be... It won't be as intense as some of the models that exist where you have to pay for the information, but we do feel like it'll be a good layer of information for the player. There'll be heat maps, there'll be lifetime, kill totals and stuff like that. So we hope it's what the players want, but we're more than dedicated to listening to the community and reacting how we can to say, all right, you guys asked for this, we weren't able to give it to you at launch, but since then we've been able to put this in a title update and we can now give you this information. For us, it's really about the fans listening to what they want. And as long as we're able to react technology-wise, we definitely will do that.
Sure. So Ghost Recon focuses on modern combat or near future combat.
Yeah.
Have you ever been tempted to push it a bit further and go into full-on sci-fi, or even go back to historical shooting?
Well, actually, we did. We did push it what we felt like was too far into the sci-fi. We presented something maybe over a little bit of a year ago that had an exoskeleton and kind of a rocket-packed sort of thing. And the feedback that we got from the community and the players was that's you've gone too far. You're in the sci-fi now. We'd like the Ghost Recon to be near future, but not so future that it is straight sci-fi. So we dabbled in it. We kind of scaled back because we didn't feel like it's true Ghost Recon.
Sure. So the old Ghost Recons, I remember, have looking at Ghost Recon 2, have the ability, which I loved, and you don't get enough in multiplayer games now, where my friends could jump on the console and we could all go online together.
Yep.
Are you allowing that in Future Soldier?
As far as playing through the campaign or playing
in multiplayer,
we do support squads, so you and your friends can join a squad, and then the group of you can go and challenge other squads. We really want to allow the competitive people online to have a way that they can play together against other organized and unified groups. So what we brought to the table is we're calling it squads instead of clans because it's a military thing and it's more squad based. So the nomenclature is different, but the theory behind it is it's the same.
Sure. Have you got plans post-launch to run tournaments and looking for the best squads in the world?
Not at this time.
Is that something you could look into? Or?
We definitely, again, like I said, we're willing to listen to what the fan base wants, and if we release this game and there's a huge clamoring for that support, then we'll definitely do everything we can to provide it.
So, talking about the game you said you presented a year ago and you said you'd gone too far, was that Ghost Recon Predator, or was Ghost Recon Predator a different project?
It was a different project.
What happened to it?
What happened to Ghost Recon Predator? Unfortunately, it was shelved so that we could put the manpower needed for Future Soldier to become a reality. Basically, what happened was there was two projects that were Ghost Recon related. One was Predator and one was Future Soldier. And when Future Soldier was determined it needed to be bigger in scope, then Ubisoft said, okay, Red Storm, can you do all of the multiplayer? Just take multiplayer for Future Soldier and make it what it needs to be. So we unfortunately had to take a lot of the team that was on Predator, on the single player and the multiplayer side of Predator, and shift them all over to just supporting Future Soldier multiplayer. I feel pretty proud of what we were able to do with a large part of the one studio, which is Red Storm, just focused on the multiplayer experience for Future Soldier.
So, Ghost Recon is an established franchise. Most gamers out there know what it is.
Sure.
So, a follow-up to Future Soldier would seem to be a foregone conclusion. Are we going to have to wait another 5 years for one? Or?
I hope not. I really hope not. Future Soldier is... It should be more than capable of having a sequel a lot quicker than 5 years.
And do you have people already looking into what's coming next, or is it all focused on Future Soldier at the moment?
We have some really smart people looking into what could come next, and that's about all I can say.
Would you ever venture back onto handhelds, like with Shadow Wars?
Would Ubisoft venture back on the handhelds with the Ghost brand? I'm sure that they're more than willing to. The only thing I can speak of is Red Storm specifically, and we've never been involved with handhelds, so they probably won't stick Red Storm on handhelds because we don't know what it takes to make a good one.
How do you balance the needs of the existing fan base and the requirements of players new to the franchise?
Wow, that's a very good question, and it's a very challenging thing to do because you've got players who are saying, "Oh, I played the original on PC, and that's all I want. I just want more of that." And then you've got the new players, which I talked about earlier, which you talk to them and they say, "Well, I've never really been into Ghost Recon because it's hard. It's hard to get into. There's a steep learning curve, and I'm not willing to pay that, right?" So it is a very, very critical balance to try to keep the old consumers happy with what we're doing and make it easier for the new consumers to get onto the brand. And hopefully Future Soldier is that perfect combination where it's not going to alienate the old marketplace and it's going to make the new marketplace less scared to come into the franchise.
So another thing that was mentioned in the Q&A was the information you have in the cloud and that you can balance throughout post-release.
Right.
How is that going to work, and how often are you going to be doing updates to the game?
We don't want to do updates to the point where it frustrates players because it's more than easy for us to go in and tweak it 3 times a week and have people completely confused about what weapons do what. So we're very aware that the timing is going to be very critical as far as overdoing it or underdoing it. Like I said in the Q&A, there's the objective base and the objective base locations. So we actually have the ability to say, all right, well, this location is causing this particular map to be unbalanced towards one side, so let's change it up. And then the weapons. The weapons are probably going to be the most challenging thing for us because with Gunsmith we have this massive amount of combinations of weapons that you can make. If there is an overpowered weapon out there, we haven't found it yet, but that doesn't mean it can't exist because we haven't tested all the combinations. And if there is, I would say we would want to do it on a extremely cautious basis. We don't want to overdo it as far as putting out updates to the point where we're confusing players.
Sure. So I've got one more question.
Sure.
Today I'm going to be talking to Tommy, Evan, Eric and John Mark.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you now.
Yeah, you are.
If you had to make a four-man squad out of those 5 people, who would you drop and why?
Wow. Who would I drop from? You named 5?
Yeah, so Tommy, Evan, Eric and John Mark.
Okay, so I have to include myself, obviously. All right, I'm taking Evan because that guy knows everything there is to know about weapons and military movement and stuff like that. I'm probably going to take John Mark because he is a crafty guy and he's extremely smart, and I think he could probably think his way out of any situation that we came into. And I would also take Eric because of his size and structure and how he's built. I think he could get us into really tight situations and kind of be that thief, if you will, to get us into locations we need. So unfortunately, Tommy, I love you, but I got to drop you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for sitting down with me.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
No problem. That was a good question in the end.
Thank you for playing. Presented by
Noob Review.